Welcome back, everyone. Today, we dive deep into a groundbreaking moment in global politics that's sending ripples from the bustling streets of Accra to the polished halls of Washington, D.C. Ghana, a beacon of hope and resilience in Africa, has made a bold move by declaring its independence from foreign military influence. So what does this really mean for the future of Africa and its leadership on the world stage? Buckle up as we explore the shocking demands made by Ghana's president, John Mahama, and the wide-reaching implications of U.S. troop withdrawal. For centuries, Africa has been subjected to external control, dictated by colonial histories, economic manipulation, and icy military presence. Consuls have determined what to believe, how to trade, and even who should lead. Its lands have been mapped by foreign hands, its futures scripted by those who often see it as merely a resource mine. But guess what? Times are changing. A movement is emerging that dares to break these chains and take ownership of its narrative. And at the heart of this transformative movement lies Ghana, a nation rich in history and resounding potential. Ghana is more than just a country. It is a beacon of hope and resilience in the heart of Africa. As the first sub-Saharan nation to throw off the shackles of colonialism in 1957, it became the birthplace of Kwame Nkrumah's revolutionary vision for a united, self-reliant Africa. This dream, however, faced challenges. Over the decades, Ghana wrestled with economic dependency and foreign influence that sought to undermine its sovereignty. Yet now, change is on the horizon as the nation embarks on a new chapter. Kwame Nkrumah was not merely a leader. He was a revolutionary dreamer who called for liberation and empowerment across the continent. Yet, despite his aspirations, foreign entities infiltrated Ghana's systems of governance. The nation's rich resources were exploited, leaving its citizens in a cycle of vulnerability. However, the recent political tides have begun to shift. With John Mahama's return to power, Ghana stands poised to reclaim its narrative and assert its independence. Mahama's re-election signifies much more than a routine political event. It's a declaration of Ghana's sovereignty, a bold statement that it will no longer be a playground for foreign powers. His victory resonated not merely within the borders of Ghana, but echoed across the continent, challenging the entrenched status quo that has historically marginalized African nations. What unfolds in Ghana is a powerful call for self-determination that many other nations are eager to hear. So, what has sparked this wave of transformative change? And what steps is Mahama taking to foster this newfound independence? Let's delve into it. On the morning following the elections, Ghana woke up to more than just a new leader. It entered a significant phase in its historical journey. Streets erupted in celebration as citizens waved flags and danced. But beneath the euphoria, there was a pressing undercurrent, a recognition that this election marked a fundamental shift towards self-determination that had been absent from the political landscape for too long. Ghana has long played a delicate balancing act, teetering between sovereignty and foreign influence. Many leaders have promised transformative change. However, Mahama's return carries an unmistakable weight of urgency and hope. His leadership reflects a collective desire for an Africa that is no longer shackled by the guidance of external powers. This new narrative prioritizes genuine local governance, putting the needs of the people at the forefront. Mahama's victory does not merely impact Ghanaians, it reverberates across borders. Historically recognized as a political reference point for the continent, Ghana's democratic processes could inspire neighboring nations. Mahama's win is emblematic of a rising Africa that refuses to submit to the dictates of foreign interests. But why is Mahama's leadership so significant? What does it represent? His administration embodies a deep-seated belief among Ghanaians that the time has come for Africa to assert its agency unapologetically. Mahama stands as a living testament that Ghana's independence was hard-won, not through negotiations with colonial powers, but through the determined will of its courageous citizens. His approach signifies a rejection of the paternalism that has often characterized relationships with Western nations. instead of pursuing superficial reforms designed to appease foreign investors. Mahama's policies aim to cultivate true economic independence, prioritizing the dignity and agency of the Ghanaian people. This shift is monumental, especially as the rest of Africa watches closely. Nations throughout West Africa have gradually been distancing themselves from foreign control, and Mahama's stance poses a significant challenge to the entrenched interests of the West. Ghana has long been viewed as a reliable ally for Western powers, but this new era raises questions. Will Ghana continue supporting military alliances that benefit outsiders? Will Mahama forge stronger ties with other African leaders advocating for self-determination? The transformation underway in Ghana is undeniable. After years of policies shaped by external forces, Mahama's election heralds a return to an authentic Ghanaian identity, one that not only dares to dream of self-sufficiency, but also refuses to succumb to foreign dominion. This echoes the vision of Kwame Nkrumah, a Ghana that fearlessly challenges colonial narratives and cultivates its destiny. Yet challenges lie ahead. The delicate balance of international diplomacy must be navigated carefully as Mahama pursues this sovereign vision. The world is watching closely, for resistance against this transformative outlook is likely, and the stakes couldn't be higher. In Ghana, change is more than a political event. It is a monumental leap toward reclaiming a legacy, one where sovereignty is revered, independence is chased, and the aspirations of a proud people are finally realized. The journey has only just begun. Now let's talk about the pivotal decision Mahama made post-election, a move that shocked many, both domestically and abroad. This was a decision that very few had anticipated. Mahama stood before the nation, made an announcement that would change the political landscape. Ghana would no longer host U.S. military forces. This was more than a shift in local military policy. It was a direct challenge to a post-Cold War system that had perpetuated Western dominance over African soil. But let's take a step back. Why was the U.S. military in Ghana in the first place? Officially, the reason was simple. It was part of a broader security partnership aimed at enhancing Ghana's ability to confront insurgencies, respond to regional threats, and build a modern defense force. But the reality is far more layered and complex. Historically, the U.S. and foreign powers have positioned themselves in African militaries, not purely for altruistic motives, but to cultivate influence over key decision-making processes. American military doctrine is not solely about warfare. It also ensures that allies remain dependent on military hardware, intelligence, and training from the U.S. In Ghana's case, this reliance on U.S. military might meant ensuring access to strategic military installations that served American interests in West Africa. The sharing of intelligence was often skewed toward Washington's agenda rather than Ghana's sovereignty. Mahama saw this dynamic all too well and recognized that Ghana had a choice to make: continue to play by Washington's rules or reclaim full control over its national defense policies. But don't be misled. Mahama's move to expel U.S. troops has sent diplomats and analysts in Washington scrambling. The U.S. has invested years building this military foothold in West Africa, and now the foundation appears to be crumbling. But there's a larger question on the horizon. If Ghana can assert its sovereignty in this way, what's stopping other African nations from doing the same? Countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have already taken similar strides towards rejecting foreign military presence in favor of developing domestic security solutions. If Ghana moves to expel U.S. troops successfully, do you think others might be invigorated to follow suit? The message from Ghana is straightforward. Africa will no longer serve as a passive participant in global military affairs. It demands that security be handled by Africans, for Africans. Partnerships should be equitable, not exploitative. The era of foreign military forces standing on African soil must come to an end. So what's next for Ghana after the U.S. military withdrawal? This is a crucial juncture for the country as it seeks to build a truly independent defense system. Mahama's administration has hinted at new security strategies, including strengthening regional military alliances within Africa. They're looking to invest in homegrown defense infrastructure rather than relying on foreign aid. Mahama envisions partnerships with countries that respect Ghana's sovereignty rather than those who treat it as merely a strategic outpost. Let's pivot and consider what's at stake. Washington will not readily accept this withdrawal. Western institutions may attempt to undermine Ghana's economy via sanctions, push negative narratives through media outlets, or even wield diplomatic pressure in an effort to coerce Mahama back in line with their expectations. Despite these potential challenges, one thing is abundantly clear: Ghana has made its choice. Ghana has chosen sovereignty over subjugation, independence over interference, and a future written by Ghanaians for Ghanaians. But what about the broader implications for the continent? This isn't just an isolated story of one nation asserting sovereignty. It's a part of a larger movement that seeks to undo centuries of division and reclaim Africa's rightful place on the global stage. At the core of the historical transformation in Ghana is former President John Mahama's vision for a unified and self-sustaining Africa, free from Western influence. His Pan-African movement seeks cooperation among nations, advocating for concrete actions to reclaim Africa's identity through economic independence, resource control, and military unity. This vision challenges established norms. Mahama calls for an end to reliance on foreign currencies like the CFA franc, which symbolizes colonial control over 14 African nations' economies. Instead, he envisions a Pan-African monetary system that would empower governments to dictate their economic futures. Mahama emphasizes the importance of building infrastructure that serves African businesses, urging investments in continental energy projects such as roads and power plants that prioritize local needs rather than foreign extractive interests. This infrastructure development is not merely physical, it embodies a reclaiming of economic sovereignty. Furthermore, Mahama proposes a robust African security network, highlighting the need for Africa to own its wealth amid a backdrop of persistent poverty despite abundant natural resources. The reality is that foreign entities continue to control these resources, and Mahama envisions nationalizing key industries to ensure that profits contribute to African growth. By creating refining plants to add value to raw materials locally, he seeks to shift the economic paradigm. Additionally, Mahama advocates for enhanced intra-African trade to foster economic interdependence, reducing reliance on external partners like Europe and the U.S. However, this ambitious plan involves risks, as past leaders who challenged Western economic control faced dire consequences, including coups and economic sabotage. The central question remains whether Mahama's vision can resist backlash from established powers. He believes that unified action across Africa is essential to realize this dream. Ghana's transformation embodies a broader continental movement toward self-sufficiency. Inspired by the dreams of leaders like Kwame Nkrumah, Mahama's calls for independence from foreign influence extend to energy and infrastructure, emphasizing that Africans must build their future rather than cater to foreign corporations. If successful, this movement could herald a significant change, leading to an Africa that governs itself and crafts its destiny on the global stage. As this vision unfolds, the world is beginning to take notice, signaling a restoration of Africa's rightful place in shaping its future. So, what do you think? Can Africa unite under this vision? What does the future hold for countries rejecting foreign influence? We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to AfroPage. Hit that bell icon so you never miss an update on these incredible stories of resilience and transformation. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay tuned for more insights into culture, history, and the powerful narratives shaping our world.